Hey guys, welcome back to the GM's table. And before we get started, I want to remind everybody to like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. If you want to help out the channel more than that, check out the Patreon in the doobly doo below where you get videos early, access to PDFs, all that great stuff. Anyways, moving on. So, I've already done a Let's Play, a live play of Dark Places and Demogorgons. I've done a recap of that live play and a review of Dark Places and Demogorgons. So why am I still talking about this? Well, I'm gonna be real honest. When I did my review, I was riding high on the great session we had. This isn't that I don't love this game, but I do feel like I need to point out some issues with it, and one really big annoyance. So, first and foremost, there's some holes in this game. And not just like, oh, they're there on purpose. They're holes that they then patch in another book, and there's some basic things. So, first and foremost, combat is done in like kind of this abstract theater of the mind range bands. Great. However, all creatures and all weapons have movement rates in what I'm guessing are feet. The creature movement is actually really weird. It's like the movement score, and they don't describe it or explain it at all. And all weapon is in actual feet ranges. No mention of these bands, which actually means, with the exception of melee, the range bands are kind of worthless. I love the idea of range bands. I love games that use range bands. However, it feels very half-cocked here because you can use it and you can take the existing material you have and convert it, but you're converting material in the game to work in what's supposed to be the standard rule in the game. That's kind of a problem. It's more of a gripe. You can gloss over it. You can just not use range bands, or you can convert the range bands. But that bugs me. That feels unfinished. Then there's a few other things. They're really confusing about some of the skill bonuses in this. Mainly, they don't explain how they stack of things like basic athletics. It says if you take basic athletics, you get a +1 in either strength, dexterity, or constitution. Okay, you would assume that's a +1 to the score, not the modifier. That would kind of be an easy assumption. Do you get that every time you take a rank? Not explained. If you go into the pre-made characters, if someone has, say, a +1 strength and a +0 dex, and they have 3 ranks in basic athletics, they'll then have brackets that'll say like strength +4 / dex +3, which I assume means you're taking that bonus and you're adding it to strength or to dex. How it's written, it looks like it adds to both. It doesn't even mention con, which is in the skill. Like, that's really confusing. It looks like it adds to the bonus, but it doesn't affect the stat blocks attack bonuses or anything. So does it only affect like strength checks or strength saves, but not melee attacks or melee damage? Is it to the bonus, or is it to the score? Like, it's not explained from what I can see. And when you buy the book, you get multiple renditions of the book. Like, every time they did a release, it just did a different PDF and drive through. And I have the final. I have the Lulu print. Neither of them explain it. that is a bit of a gripe, and it doesn't just come up there. There's basic athletics. There's dance. At least with like brawling, wrestling, and martial arts, they specifically say you can only take 1 rank in that skill, so it doesn't cause this issue. But what about the skills that you can take multiple ranks and do this? Like, if it adds to your attack, basic athletics becomes your actual combat skill if it's raising your strength modifier for attacks. There's also this question of there's a ranged weapon skill. It's not listed on the skills you can only take 1 rank of. That's only the melee skills. So ranged weapons you can take multiple of, and in ranged weapons it says gives +1 to attack bonus to ranged attack bonuses. Okay, again, is it just once or does it happen multiple times? I didn't even see anywhere. I'm on like my third kind of gloss through because I don't get it. I'm a dad. I don't get a chance to like fully forensic read through, especially monster stat blocks, unless it's what I'm needing at the time. So maybe there's a stat in there that has multiple ranks in ranged attack and I can reference it. But in the skill itself, it doesn't say it. It doesn't explain it. And if that's the case, that means ranged attacks can get way better attack bonuses. Granted, you don't add dex to the damage, so I actually kind of like that as a trade off. Like, you can get very precise with ranged attacks, but the damage never gets better. Where if you get stronger or whatever, your damage goes up. I like that, but that's again an assumption. It doesn't really explain it. Then the final one that really, this is one of those like, okay, that's kind of unclear. This is one of those that irks me. And we're going to get into the player options GM guide book afterwards because that's where it irks me even actually a little more. So, how you do saves in this game is you roll 4d4 and add your con modifier. You generate your saves and then they go up as you level. Now, for NPCs, they don't have saves. The supernatural creatures section says supernatural creatures are a great threat. They all have the average save of 10 plus their hit die max 18. Okay, really useful. What is it for the normal people? Am I supposed to generate these saves randomly every time? Is there maybe a shorthand we can do? Just something. This could be one sentence, guys. Well, if you get the player options and GM guide book, which is a separate $8, it's not an expensive book. I will say it's laid out like it's an online supplement that now has print on demand. It doesn't feel as polished as the other book. It's still very nice and it has a lot of useful stuff, but it feels kind of more like extra ideas just thrown together in a book. But in there, that book has stuff that should be errated into the core. Things like, oh, by the way, the saves for standard enemies is 8 plus hit die. Why is that not in core? Or things like, we had an issue of someone's the Hood, and it says he starts with the survival skill. And we looked at the skill list, and there's outdoorsman, and the best we could figure is maybe that's what they're talking about. And then in the GM, or in player options and GM guidebook, it says when they're talking about the updated classes, because all the classes go to 7 levels instead of 5, so you expect some stuff on each class. It also talks about stuff like, oh yeah, the Hood now gets outdoorsman instead of survival. Why didn't you go and fix the PDF? Why didn't you actually fix your errata? Like, some of those are pretty bad. And it's not like, oh, it's been overlooked and maybe you'll fix it. You fixed it and you put it in a separate product. That irks me. Now, again, I don't want this to come off like, I hate this game. I actually am loving this game. I'm running this game again. But I wanted to throw a video out because I was high on loving that session, loving the game, that new game smell on top of everything. I had actually written down these complaints, but I was so busy doing the recap and saying how much I love this game, I forgot to bring this stuff up. Also, when I did that, I didn't have the player options and GM guide book. One of my players loved the game so much, he was like, you know what, man? I was waiting to have a couple extra bucks to buy that extra book because I just bought this one. I don't want to explain to my wife why I'm buying multiple books on a game I've run once. He was like, I'll buy it for you. Here you go. Player bought the GM a book. I love when that happens. But then I'm looking through this book and I'm like, so all the things we had questions about are answered in a separate book. And they're not just like, oh, they need this big, long explanation. No. These are things that should be errata. And especially when you're dealing with the PDFs, I get to the print. You can't fix the print versions. First of all, you should be putting out a PDF or an update errata to like point these things. Like if you've already fixed it, if you already put the work in, throw them on an errata PDF and have them on your site for those people. For the PDFs, fix the PDF and re-upload it. And if you want to say that's too difficult or too hard, my business is selling these kinds of books. That's one of the easiest things. You might have some formatting things you gotta fix with it, but that's part of having errata, or at the very least, have the errata PDF in with the packet. When I bought this core book, I got 4 versions of this book on PDF because rather than updating the file, they just added another file. And I get that. I've accidentally done that before. But this is a really great game, and I don't want some of those kind of mistakes to screw it up, to leave a bad taste in some people's mouths. And I'm not gonna lie, something as key as what the saves are for all your enemies except one category being thrown into the extra book is a bit of an insult. I don't think it was meant as an insult. This definitely feels like someone who didn't realize they could just errata their document, but it needs it. It needs it badly because I definitely don't think anyone thought this game was going to sell huge. I think it is. It kickstarted way more than they anticipated, and me and several other people are actually starting to push to get the word out for this game because this game is awesome. But as this game blows up, you need to have that cleanup done. Like, this isn't a lecture. This is just for the sake of the game, get it done type situation. Don't just cram it in an extra book that someone might buy when it's that core. The saves are my biggest one because, again, it's a core mechanic that the game uses, but they skipped how to do and then just tossed it in the extra book. That's a problem. It's a big problem. Now, beyond that, like I said, I actually just kind of gave you that it's 8+ hit die. So with this video, go buy this book. Because again, this book's awesome. It's every 80s horror movie or supernatural movie you want it to be. Especially the teen ones. As I had said, one of my players, through the background roles, ended up being Teen Wolf. And that player's guide, player's option GM guide, it's actually really freaking cool. I'm not going to use it as much for the game I'm planning, but it adds straight up magic into the game if you want it to. It adds spies and counter spies, like Soviet spies and American spies as teenagers. It adds just some really cool stuff like that. They add even more 80s reference charts for like crushes, movies, TV shows. And this time they added numbers to the charts so they're rollable, which I love even more. I do think some of it's filler because there's like 8 to 10 pages of music because there's a table for what genre music, and they have like a D100 table for each genre. But that also gives you a great list of music for playlists, so it's still super useful. It's awesome. Again, it's only $8 for the PDF, so it's not expensive. As of now, part of the reason I bought this is the PDF on drive-thrus on sale for only $10. It's half off, and for $10, this game is freaking worth it. Like, don't get me wrong. If anybody here who's fan is like, oh man, he's being all negative, trust me, guys, I love this game. I just felt needed to have that stuff pointed out. Anyways, I will catch you guys later. Bye. If you like that video, check out another video over here. Whatever it is, it's probably pretty good. Don't forget to like, share so other people can find the channel, and subscribe right up there. YouTube now won't let me put a link to the Patreon, but there is a link down in the description below. So if you want to help support the channel, check that out, and I will catch you guys next time.